Welcome back to the No Hair All Heart podcast. I'm your host and author, Mookie Spitz, reading from my novel, Jonnie Fazoolie and the Transfinite Reality Engine, number 7, Interview with a View. Trying to schmooze onto Penny's Thrillionaire's under 30 list, Jonnie pitches his tantalizing life story like he spins everything else, to the point he doesn't believe his own bullshit either. What kind of a name is Fazoolie? Interrupts Penny, 5 minutes of sonic onslaught later. Finally managing to get a word in, her question as devoid of context as his whole harangue. Family name. Can you be more specific? I was born in the house that my father built, states Fazoolie in a stentorian tone, as if reading aloud from someone else's austere biography. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. You shouldn't use the passive voice. What are you talking about? I exercise every day. Or plagiarize. I only use what other people throw away, he insists, flicking a joint roach into a tall pedestal ashtray like those found in Greyhound stations, and throw away what other people use. Does that explain your apartment? Says Penny, pivoting her long neck. Her upturned nose blasts him with contempt, snootiness, and entitlement, making Jonnie delirious with desire. Want a drink? He asks, both now chillaxing on his balcony 1,200 feet above the eclectic Chicago skyline, flush with the sprawling lakefront looming a few blocks to the east. I don't drink while I work, she says, taking detailed notes despite the torrent of Johnny's bloviating nonsense and her own powerful impulses to leave as soon as she can find an out. You're working? You're drinking? Every damn day, he toasts, augmented with another joint. Johnny's cat stares at her as if he's checking her out, too. Penny's square-shouldered jacket, matching skirt, victory roll hairdo, pearl earrings, and heels give her a classic comic book look that reminds Jonnie of Lois Lane, making him Superman. The self-characterization is unconvincing to everyone he meets, and he couldn't care less. His brash delusion increases in direct proportion to his desperation, loneliness as chronic as his libido. Penny's professionalism and aloofness do nothing to shield Jonnie from her stunning looks and understated sex appeal, exacerbating his condition. He twitches, itches, and sneezes. His unabashed lust turns her off, along with his apparent cat allergies. Yet Johnny's obnoxious exuberance piques Penny's curiosity to the point where, despite her doubts, she stays put. Having interviewed the ultra wealthy the world over, she's catwalked roads to riches, paved with eccentric personalities and dubious prowess. Fazoolie here nominated in both categories. Talented, socially awkward people creating global empires is de rigueur. In stark contrast, this fake entrepreneur squeezes each drop out of his questionable charm, his competence irrelevant. A spoiler on her offbeat list, Fazoolie is ranked not by talent nor net worth, but sheer bravado. His superpower is annoying the hell out of people doing the real work, yet still getting shit done. "Want to smoke a joint?" asked Jonnie. "You asked me that already. Thought you'd change your mind." "No, thank you," repeats Penny. "Mind if I do?" exhales Jonnie. "You already are," she observes. "Right on," he nods, watching the weed smoke waft across his impaired field of vision. He stares at her cleavage. She notices, and he continues to stare, undaunted, lost in Fazoolie world. Despite her mounting revulsion and urge to flee, his manic energy somehow channels into an intoxicating charisma that mesmerizes and appalls her, like watching a nearby car accident. His balcony is strewn with empty pizza boxes, styrofoam to go containers, crushed beer cans, broken glass, scattered ashes, and a jerry rigged tripod mounted telescope pointed next door. His black cat with white mittens remains perched on his left shoulder, now entranced by his lit blunt. Johnny twitches, itches, and sneezes again, his allergies evident, annoying them both. "What's the name of your kitty?" asks Penny. "BS," says Johnny. "Apropos, sheer coincidence. You two seem inseparable. I can't get rid of them even if I try." Jonnie Fazoolie is almost famous for indulging in extreme sports and thrill seeking, has drug, sex, and gambling addictions, drives like a maniac, and douses everything he eats in hot sauce. A natural blonde of cryptic Sicilian stock, Johnny has the business ethics of Charles Ponzi and the body type of Abraham Lincoln, with whom he shares the disorder known as Marfan syndrome. Very tall and thin, with extra long arms, legs, fingers, and toes, Johnny endures bad vision, heart palpitations, shortness of breath, and sleep apnea so severe he snores like a rhinoceros in heat. His sternum and rib cage deformed, Johnny's chest is sunken in to the point it can hold a 4-ounce dirty martini, which he sips through a twisty straw when lying on the beach in his Speedos. A self-medicated hypochondriac, Fazoolie has figured out how to manage this congenital clusterfuck with a barrage of toxic chemicals and streams of high-decibel EDM and death metal. Always on the edge of a nervous breakdown or getting arrested, Johnny senses when too much is too much and chills out several times a day with a few therapeutic minutes of meditative Tai Chi. The martial art calms Fazoolie down, doing wonders for his worsening scoliosis and arthritis. He also embeds these groovy ancient Chinese moves into his all-night raves and sex parties. "Want to see my kung fu?" asked Johnny. "I feel like I already have," sighs Penny. "That's the kind of stuff I say on dates." "How's that been working out for you?" An irredeemable narcissist, Johnny enjoys rebuke as much as praise to the point he can't distinguish them. "Beat me, bore me, just don't ignore me" is his credo, an insatiable vanity vampire. Beaten and bored so far, Johnny is on the brink of being ignored, his questionable charm questioned. Ravenous, thirsty, he can't give up, at least not yet. He offers more drugs, is again refused. Having tried hard and failed at legit enterprises, these days Johnny commits fraud half-assed, absolving himself of any compulsion to care what others think of his aberrant behavior. Insisting on flying solo, he ends up far more vulnerable. The more problems he has, the less he pays attention until they reach critical mass and explode with a ferocity surprising even him. That's when he needs people the most people feeling more used than needed. Unlike typical narcissists, though, Johnny is too disorganized and distracted to effectively manipulate anyone. Although a selfish bastard, Johnny is a natural pro at making people feel their time together is all about them, especially early on. That makes starting things easy, ending them excruciating. Born to people please, Johnny is a chameleon who morphs into each lover's world, becoming the perfect boyfriend until ennui and disappointment settle in. Too much of a good thing gone bad. Laying it on thick is his thinly veiled attempt to be adored. Trouble strikes when his lover's selfishness devours his generosity with no recompense, turning him into a willing tool. Taken for granted, Jonnie the superhero turns into a craven disappointment for his lovers and himself, becoming Fazoolie the Fleer, first out the door and last to say arrivederci. You have lovely hazel eyes, squints Jonnie, leaning in. They're actually brown, puckers Penny, leaning back. Myopia, points Jonnie to his own baby blues, plus astigmatism, nystagmus, and cataracts. I've had laser surgery, intraocular lens replacement, and been punched in the face. I can't imagine why. Eye surgery? Punched in the face. Some people can't handle my main character energy. I can't imagine why. I have MCE? Punched in the face. I have double vision in my right eye. Is that your excuse for being a cad? She sneers, pulling her skirt further down and adjusting her jacket. Part of your capabilities presentation for dumb investors you soon rip off? Touche, mi amor, he winks. She cringes. He conjures up a joke, loses his train of thought, which is often off the rails anyway, then rebounds by stroking his cat. Penny looks exasperated. The odds not in his favor either. Jonnie thinks he's still got a shot with her here, reinforced by his uncanny ability to fall down the stairs and land on his feet. Fazoolie makes failure look fun. His woo draws in clients and lovers who can't get enough of him until they can't stand him any longer. They flee a changed person, Jonnie bringing out the worst by triggering their best. Perhaps his paradoxical charm is attributable to his introverted extroversion and extroverted introversion. Obnoxious with wallflowers, he's taciturn with hardcores, pissing everyone off. Or perhaps the essence of Jonnie's perverse appeal is his endless energy and idiotic optimism. For Fazoolie, every no is a maybe, and every maybe a yes. His mojo makes the impossible inevitable. Would you like to see my showroom of amazing inventions? We can take a short trip to my office further downtown. I'm especially proud of my waterproof fireworks and wax pistol. Thanks for your time, she sighs, her disappointment evident. Penny hates falling into yet another trap of her own creation. She knows no worse feeling than being forced to question herself. If my breathtaking ingenuity doesn't take your breath away, continues Jonnie, oblivious or unable to notice or care, then watching the aurora on an Icelandic glacier should turn you on. That sounds really boring and very chilly, responds Penny, knowing she's again fallen for his nonstop bullshit before she even finishes the sentence, and hating herself passionately for it. You're right, exclaims Jonnie, starting to get really excited. Let's spend quality time on the sandy beaches of Ambergris, Kai, instead, slugging a cooler full of jalapeno margaritas. My Thrillionaire list will be online soon, she retorts, failing at ignoring him, but at least changing the subject. Finalists will be invited to the official award ceremony at the Luz in Vegas. I can't wait, grins Jonnie, imagining her in his favorite city, if they let him back in. Meanwhile, let's go to San Pedro and do shots of algae-infused propofol and Macarena all night long. Still no clue as to how you'll rank, she says, gathering her things, straightening herself up, and standing to go, or even if you get onto the list. Goodbye. and good luck with your scams. So soon? We were just getting started, says Jonnie, itching and sneezing again from the dander. As she gets up to tidy and go, he blows smoke rings, sips his cocktail, and ogles her ass. Thanks for listening to another little vignette of my new novel. Tune in tomorrow for the next part of the Penny and Jonnie flirt show.